This is a continuation of the previous video. If you're interested in the subject of spirituality and my take on it and my own personal experience and journey with it, you might want to watch the previous video, which is kind of like a history, like my journey with it. And to spoil it for you, because I don't care to keep people in suspense so that you have to stay till the end. There's no answer really. I don't think I have spirituality in the sense that I understand it in terms of regular practice, and the piece I don't think I have is the Pisces piece. So in this video I want to elaborate what I want to talk about what I actually have, like regarding the sort of some terminology that is important, that defines one's spirituality, at least the way I see it and understand it. And it basically, I explain it astrologically as I would on this channel, which is my Pluto in Virgo and then my South Node in Virgo. So if you have either or both, then you might relate to this even more so, because the Saturn through Pisces since last 2023 March, has really brought this on, like has really made it pop and go like, whoa, for me, like what is my spirituality? And also like it highlighted the lack of my own spiritual practice and how that is detrimental to me and to my growth and my, not even growth, my well-being, not growth. Forget about growth. I'm not interested in growth. I'm interested in deepening myself and life and experience, not growth. But yeah, there's definitely lack, and that lack is what makes me less whole and less balanced. And yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. When you have South Node somewhere and you have Pluto somewhere, South Node being like you're carrying so much, it's just, past lives, plural, right? So many of them were in Virgo in my case. And that's the furthest away from Pisces. And then Pluto is another obsessive, compulsive, like intense, just like keeping you where you are, i.e. in my case, Virgo. So the Pisces piece, which is where I'm headed, and it has to be, and I know this, I just don't know how. How do I be more Pisces? I mean, even like this looks kind of Piscean, like hair, just, and then, pretty little things. And it's just, I get all that. I love Pisces, and I'm into art, and that's another expression of Pisces, and I have all that, but it's like a regular practice, like regular abandoning, I think that's the piece, like regularly trusting and letting something be as opposed to trying to understand and control, right? That piece, when I crack that piece, I will crack Pisces. I will find something. I will find this missing piece. This lack will not be lack anymore. But that said, I want to talk about, and in a way explain why I struggle with this. So I want to talk about ego, soul, and spirit. So those are the three kind of cornerstones of spirituality practice. A spiritual practice, like those three are important. We work with them, I think, like I told you already, preface that I don't really have a spiritual practice, but I am fascinated, and I know so many people who do, and I read about it, I watch and know. So I know the theory and I know the practice. I just don't do it regularly. I have my own version of something which I talked about in last week's video, but in here I want to discuss these three. And let me first kind of declare or explain why I think, or why they are the postulates, the trinity of spiritual practice. So ego is something we are changing, right? We are changing. We are evolving. We are, that's something we want to improve, maybe, again, a good Virgo word. And a spiritual practice is a way of evolving, is a way of, and also keeping it in check and in balance, ego, right? And like I said, it's having a spiritual practice makes one's way of living, or one's life, and oneself, I suppose, more balanced, more holistic, right? because that side of being human, the Pisces side in us, is honored. And so ego is what I just described. That's how it serves the practice and what its purpose is within the practice. Then the soul is something we connect to, and we want to commune with. And the spirit is also what we want to connect. So we want to commune with our soul, and we want to live like our soul, like we want to live soulfully. But by soulfully, I mean, so the spiritual practice helps us with that, right? We want to live soulfully. We want this soul of ours to come forth and to lead us and to take more of a front seat than it has up until that point, and certainly to kind of counterbalance this ego piece. That's that, right? And then spirit, we also want to connect with spirit, but as spirit as a way of guiding us, as a way of giving us wisdom that we don't have otherwise, and as a way of connecting, like that's the ultimate, right? So this spirit, I'll call it spirit, God, source, maybe even universe. I don't know whether that would qualify. I'll qualify in a moment. But so connecting to that spirit, we are connecting to that bigger, something bigger than us, right? That we feel connected to. And so that's essential part, right? The spirit piece. So, but let me now define what they are. How I understand each. And this is where I will potentially differ. In fact, if you know people who think like me, let me know. If they're like YouTubers or Instagrammers or websites or something, right? And if it's you, let me know as well. But I haven't heard anyone talk about this in this way, but I'm sure it doesn't mean anything basically. So if you know, let me know. So I'll start with spirit. Spirit, I understand to be, to me, it's the source, right? It's what I would call God, like God as in in religious terms. I personally, when I say spirit, I'm thinking of a life, like a spark of life, that aliveness that is in all of us, that sense of which I'll get to that in a moment in more detail. But if you, another way of describing spirit as I think of it is that like the first life that came to be, the Big Bang or whatever. After the Big Bang there was light, right, or whatever. There was life, sorry, and light. I suppose they're the same thing actually. I don't know, but light certainly, right? And it's that particle, that energy ball, let's say, that piece that when the Big Bang, when it all exploded into smithereens, we all have. That's what gave birth to us individuals. So that's spirit, right? So I believe we all have it in us, and it's as big and as important. And I don't mean important in an ego sense important, but it's equal. It's the same. It's the same as that original spark, right? That spirit that came to be. So there's no hierarchy in my cosmology. There is no hierarchy in this instance, in this sense. And we all have them. We all have that, and that is the same in all of us. That spirit, right? Now, I think I finished that, right? That's all I need to say about that. Now, ego and soul, to me, are the same in one way, an important way, crucially important way, which is that both, or rather, no, sorry, I should say that to me, soul is ego also, just far less conscious ego, which I love, because I always, when certain words become so hackneyed and just have this like a reputation, especially when it's a bad reputation like ego does, right? I love finding a way to, that's not always my intention, but especially when it happens kind of accidentally, I love it even more. Sometimes I'm intentional about it, like really looking for a way to make something that's apparently like everyone smirks at, make it good. But this one accidentally happened, as it were. But I think, so ego, soul is ego as well, just not as conscious ego. By conscious, I mean being aware, not conscious like we are conscious human beings, we are like evolved, not in that way conscious. I mean conscious just being awareness, self-awareness, like, oh, this is me, I'm aware of myself. In that sense, ego is like me, Maya, grey hair, this dress, have a certain history. Watch my last video about my history with the spirituality, right? So that's all ego, like the one I know. All I know about myself is ego in my cosmology. What I don't know as clearly, but I sense, is soul. Sorry, is ego, is also ego, but I call it soul because it's unconscious. And so why I want you to, or I want to do this as carefully as I can, because I think this is so important. But why am I equating them? Why am I equalizing them? Why are they the same to me? Just the level of self-awareness and consciousness that's brought to either is what makes them different. But they're both ego because they both are stories. So the ego is the story of who I am. Your ego is your story of who you are. But my soul is also my story. The story that I don't want, don't like. So in some way, soul, and you will hear this with James Hillman, with Robert Bly, with Thomas More, with Martin, oh my God, he's my actual mentor. Hold on. Shaw, Martin Shaw, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, some, big names in psychology, depth psychology, archetypal psychology, and all that talk of the soul in the sense that it's a shadow. And I don't know who this is. And when I heard that, I was like, yes, it reverberated within me like a truth does. Like truth is sensational. I heard this from Caroline Elliott, who's another one I could add to this list. Existential kink author. You might know her or know of her or read the book. I highly recommend. And she speaks of, I heard her, she's the first person I heard talk about truth being sensational. It's like, yeah, of course. It's when we hear a truth of ours, right? We feel like there's always immediate surge of sensation in our body. So when this person, whoever they are, I can't remember them, said this, that was what happened to me. Like something surged through me. Like I recognized the truth of it, which is that soul is terrifying. We do not want to meet our soul. Well, we do, but we don't. Like, it's scary. Soul is Pluto. And it's in ways that I don't think we can comprehend. I'd like to think I can, but I'm not sure I can either comprehend how little that soul cares about our ego, our story that we tell ourselves, the sort of the front end, the known story, the story that everyone else knows about our soul, or most people, right, and all that. It does not care. It really does not care. And that's why it's terrifying. And sorry, what I said also, I don't know if I finished it, it's a shadow. Shadows and soul are kind of synonyms. And yeah, so this piece that it's terrifying, it's because it's unconscious, but it's a story, Pluto. Remember when I said, I don't know if you watch all my videos, but if you do, then you will remember when I said about Pluto that we will, for as long as our soul, i.e. Pluto, will be reincarnating for as long as there are desires that we need to live out. What is a desire except that it, other than a story? What is it? It's a story. I want that. It's a story. There is no, why would you want it? To just think about it for a moment or two. The moment you think about something, it's a story. So in some way, I'm speaking here about a story as it's a language. Wherever we need language, so remember in my Saturn in Pisces video, 2 videos of that, on that subject, where I talk about Pisces as being, it doesn't have language. It can have it. That's a poet, art, or spirituality. I don't know actually what language spirituality is. Maybe it's actually maybe prayer. I don't know, and the invocations and stuff like that, probably, yeah, I get that. Anyway, but it's still, it's a reduced version of Pisces, Neptune, and 12th house. So wherever there is language, we have a story. And so I'll get to that in a moment, why this is so important and why ego and soul being also ego, just less conscious, like we are not aware of it. They're both stories, and why that is the divider between that part of our existence, our way in the world, and spirit. In spirit, story is no more. There is no need for it because everything is fulfilled. There is no gap. Because Franz Kafka says, or is it Franz Kafka? Or maybe it was me who used the word gap in relation to language, that the language is essentially a gap in meaning. The moment we use words to describe something, we create a gap. Yes, those words, like they highlight, the words highlight the gap, that we need words to communicate something, right? It highlights the gap of that exists between our comprehension and, so not so much actually comprehension, but our ability to connect and communicate. It highlights that gap, like our actual inability or the lack of ability, that it's something is missing. So language is a gap in meaning, really, and by meaning is a capital meaning, capital M, sorry, that Neptunian, Piscean meaning, right? So that's why I'm saying it's so important to understand both ego and soul as fully in language, rooted in language, in story, right? One is far more terrifying for simplest of reasons, or for most innocent of reasons, or maybe sometimes for less innocent and more sinister and darker reasons. But it's a story all the same, right? And so, okay, let me bring this in now. I think it might just work well to illustrate this difference, like how. Actually, no, I'll come back to that. What I was trying also to do with this video is share my own struggle with spirituality and why I don't do spirit, meaning why that's the missing part. Why am I still stuck in the story? Because, okay, I'm bringing it actually, sorry, yeah. So because I don't want to be in spirit is kind of the simplest way of putting it. But let me flash it out. Let me give you a context. Let me make you understand better what I'm saying. And I'm going to bring that adorable man called Eckhart Tolle. I don't want to tag him because, I don't want to, well, maybe I will. It doesn't matter. But so he said something in one of his videos, and if I can find it, I'll link it below. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it. Anyway, he spoke of the experience of being, let's say, enlightened. Like he's enlightened. He's like, he used the comparison to Oprah Winfrey, who's like so much body and then so much spirit, and it was like far more body than spirit, right? And he used himself as an example of 80% spirit or 70% or something, and 20 or 30% body. And I was like, whoa. And then he describes his own state. And it's like, it's almost like, what's the point of the body? What I don't know, and he didn't make it clear to me, at least, meaning at least that I didn't get that from Eckhart Tolle, whether you need the body in order to experience the bliss. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but if you know better, let me know in the comments. So where I'm going with this is like that state he's in, that he's totally blissed out, and it's like, you can just see him. I mean, it's just like this, I don't know what, like a spirit in a body. I don't know. It's that aura about him, and I don't have to tell you. I'm sure you. I don't know. I suspect you feel the same. And it's like he doesn't need. Like it's like, what's the point of being in a body if you're so blissed out? Because the reason he's blissed out has nothing to do with the body, right? You get what I mean? That's what I mean. Why it's amazing to be blissed out and be in the body. Like, that could be through sex, that could be through a great holiday, being on the beach, sunbathing, jogging, eating gorgeous food, drinking gorgeous wine, whatever your thing is, right? You can be blissed out in the body. Your body feels the bliss. But in Eckhart Tolle's case, at least how I understand him, is like he's blissed out profoundly, irrespective of his body. In fact, the body is in the way sometimes, and the world is in the way. And it doesn't speak of it in a kind of egoic sense that it's like annoyed with it, but it just kind of lays it out. You see what I mean? But I'm not sure, and this is the Saturn piece and Pisces and Neptune. It's like maybe, here's a theory which I think I touched on when I talked about Saturn and Pisces. It's like maybe we feel more intensely the spirit inside our body than if we were not in our body. I don't know. Or maybe it's the opposite. So maybe that's why Saturn, or the matter of the body, is necessary for him to feel that blissed out, that much bliss. But I don't know for sure. And so that's not my aspiration. I don't want to be like that. I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I don't want to be enlightened like that at all. All I want is to be whole. I don't think I'll achieve it in this lifetime, although, I don't know, maybe Pluto in Aquarius will do it for me next 20 years. Plenty of time. But what does that mean? Whole. So that means integrating my soul and all that unconscious, right, shadow, meaning making it conscious, making it and living from it, as well as from my ego. So there's just more story. There will be a different story. Like, you'll see, I mean, this channel will be changing. And yeah, I'll have a separate video on that. But there's so much story I want to still live and live out and tell and be to be the main protagonist of, like, my life, right? To author my life. Authoring one life, right, is about writing it. Again, a story. And for as long as there is story, there is no spirit. You see what I mean? So that is why I don't feel like I'm spiritual. And I would question anyone's spirituality that isn't like Eckhart Tolle's. And yet he wouldn't call himself spiritual, I don't think either. I don't think. Or maybe, I don't know, it doesn't matter. But meaning that to be in spirit, if, again, based on my definition of spirit, which is kind of Eckhart Tolle's as well, as I don't think he uses the word spirit for his, I don't think so. But I do, I like it. So, you see what I mean? So to be spiritual is to be in that space like he is, which I'm not, and I don't want to be. And so unless we are there, are we spiritual? Would be my question. Soulful is definitely what I want to be, and I am to a point, I'm sure. To a point, we all are, we all are soulful to a point. So there's always more soul to be uncovered for as long as we live. And in my cosmology and my rules of the cosmos that I see them, and I like to think that they are the rules, right, is when we, what's the word? When we run out of these stories we want to live, then we will not be incarnating anymore. And so in that case, if it's our life, in that case, it would be our last lifetime. So I don't know. I've been told on a few occasions that this is my case. I don't believe it. I really don't. So I suspect it's not. But I can't even remember why some people said that. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so if it was, then I would. But that's all I wanted to say. If it is my last lifetime, then I will come whole, and I will be probably on YouTube showing you how I've done it. So you can stick around for that if that's of interest. But yeah, let me know how you feel about all of this, like, and spirituality. Like, just do you see where I'm coming from? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Yeah, just yeah, let me know.